Good afternoon and welcome everyone to today's session on Boost Employee Productivity with Amazon Q Business. This session is a level 100 session and you are in the right room if you are looking to find out how to drive increased productivity in your business by using generative AI and Amazon Q. It's my pleasure to welcome to the stage Brad Ryan and Ramesh Ediri. Please give them a big round of applause.
Hi everyone, welcome to the SMB track. Thanks for coming along today. I don't have to tell you, but businesses across Australia and New Zealand at the moment, they're doing it tough. There's rising costs of doing business. It's difficult to access the talent that we need in the market. And it's certainly, I think, a constant pressure to do more with less. What if you had an always-on agent, an agent that could help you relieve some of that administrational burden, could help you identify key business insights quicker, could help you understand your customer and your employee needs easier, and could help you draft business initiatives and strategies to grow your business more effectively. I'm Brad Ryan, and I look after the AWS data and AI partner business across Asia Pacific and Japan. I'm joined today by Ramesh Ediri, who's an Associate Solution Architect in our SMB business here in Sydney. And we're here to talk to you about how to boost your employee productivity with Amazon Q Business. Generative AI is going to change everything that we do, in work and at home. Whether you're an operator on the shop floor or whether you're an executive in the C-suite, your role will change because of generative AI. Today, we're seeing customers already using generative AI for medical research, for customer support, for application modernization, for sales outreach, and many, many more things. And with the advent of agentic AI, you don't have to look too far into the future to imagine a world where 80% of your processes are automated with AI, and the remaining 20% are augmented, maybe 10 to 100 times higher quality with your teams using AI to improve their productivity. What would that mean to you if that was the case? What would you do if your business suddenly had that much more time to focus on the core problems that your business was started to solve? What growth trajectory would that put your business on? Well, the real question is, are we ready for it? So I'm going to do a quick little exercise with everyone here today. Can I ask, can you put your hand up if you've used generative AI for any of the following use cases? So let's start with the first one, writing an email. Who's used generative AI for that? Okay, most of us, right? And I think when you look at writing an email, most of us have probably used it to reply quickly to an email, or maybe craft that perfect email on a sensitive topic where we need to get the word and the tone just right. But according to Forbes, every day we send 361 billion emails around the world. It's a crazy number. Most of them are in my inbox, apparently. But what if sending email was a core part of your role? We see that 81% of organizations use email as a part of their marketing strategy. 73% of organizations say email is the most effective way to find a new prospect. And we know that if you personalize that email, it's 26% more likely to be opened, and customers are 80% more likely to buy from you if that email is personalized. And that is why 47% of email marketers today use generative AI to create their content. And we're seeing that, you can see there, many more are planning to use it in the not too distant future. All right, let's try another example. What about using AI to write a document? Hands up. Anyone done that? Yeah, that's a pretty common use case. Now, one of the things we see with, generative AI, according to Salesforce, 49% of the population is using generative AI today, the Australian population. That means that if you're not using it, the person sitting next to you probably is. 65% of organizations use generative AI as well. And most of them start that journey by using it to create documents. Why? Because we have an abundance of documents that we create in an organization, and it's easy to get started. Whether you're writing a contract, whether you're writing a status report, whether you're writing marketing content, or whether you're doing an RFP or perhaps responding to an RFP. The potential use cases for generative AI in document creation are almost endless. And the beauty of, I guess, using Gen AI for document creation is you don't even have to have a perfect outcome. Usually most people use it to get a jump start. You get a draft of 60 to 70% quality in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and that's really the hardest part, right? Getting started. So using Gen AI to get started is a key enabler. Okay, a more niche use case. What about writing code? How many people in the room have used it to write code? Yeah, okay, quite a few. That's great. And I guess with the rise of vibe coding, more and more of you will be using that going forward. I guess when we talk to customers, firstly, code generation is probably one of the most common use cases we see. Almost every company is looking to accelerate how they do software development. Whether they're doing software development in their own internal systems or for their customers, they're looking to use Gen AI to do that. And it could be generating new code. It could be doing bug fixes on existing code. It could be writing test scripts or project documentation, or it could be transforming your entire code base. And an example of that is Amazon. So Amazon recently did a Java upgrade on their environment. Now, I know not every company has the same amount of code as Amazon, but we saw to upgrade a application typically took us around 50 developer days to upgrade one application. With generative AI, we could reduce that to just a few hours. And across our entire Amazon code base, that resulted in 4,500 developer man years saving of effort. So not only does it speed up what you do, but it also lets you do things that I guess otherwise would be impossible to do manually. Ramesh and I also use generative AI every day. Amazon's renowned for the amount of documents it creates. We write a document for just about everything. And we use generative AI to summarize that information and help us get through those documents, read those documents, and pull out the most pertinent elements of those documents for us every day. We use it to summarize transcribe those meeting minutes, and generate actions out of all of those meetings. That's a pretty common use case across Amazon. And Amazon has these leadership principles, invent and simplify and think big, where we're challenged to come up with new initiatives every day for our partners, for our customers, to come up with new ways to grow the business. And we use generative AI to help us brainstorm and come up with those new ideas. And of course, we can't avoid the monthly reporting, so we use it to automate that as well. In my role as an Asia Pacific role, I often deal with team members in Korea, in Japan, and I use generative AI to translate my communications with them to make it easier for the communications. Particularly, we find that when it gets very complex and technical, we need to kind of be communicating in our natural language. What about you, Ramesh? Do you use it?
I'll be honest, Brad, I use it to use generative AI.
You use it to help you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Just to figure out how to do prompting, how to best get use out of that short time.
Pretty cool, okay. All right, and what do we use to do it? Yep, you guessed it. We use Amazon Q Business internally. Every person in the organization has Amazon Q Business as their tool. Amazon Q Business isn't the only application for generative AI that Amazon has. If you're the kind of business that builds custom AI solutions as a core of your business, and you're building custom large language models every day, you might want to work at the bottom layer of the stack, Amazon SageMaker, Trainium inferential chipsets. If you're the kind of company that is trying to implement generative AI capabilities into your existing platform and solutions, and you want to leverage the best LLMs on the market and leverage pre-built solutions like guardrails and agents, Amazon Bedrock might be a solution for you. But if you want to use AI in your organization to make your organization more efficient by better connecting your business to your data, then Amazon Q Business is the best way and the easiest way to get going on that journey. So let's just take a moment to have a look at what Amazon Q Business can do.
What if you could be more productive and check off all your busy work to have more time for the meaningful work that inspires you? What if you had a superpower to make that possible? Now you do. Amazon Q Business, your generative AI-powered work assistant, helps you accomplish all your tasks. It connects to your company's data, information, and systems to become an expert on your business. Instantly able to help every employee complete their tasks, like Jane in HR, asking Amazon Q Business for help creating a job posting for a new product marketing position. Now Jane is asking Amazon Q to create a social media post for the new role. Mateo in sales, asking Amazon Q Business to summarize insights from the customer satisfaction survey for the workshop he ran. Based on these great insights, Mateo asks Amazon Q to create a table with the results that he can share with his team. Or Sanvi in marketing, who just returned from her vacation and is turning to Amazon Q Business for help understanding what was discussed during the team meetings while she was out. Whether it's increasing your productivity, improving the quality of your work, or making more time for innovation and creativity, there is so much more you can do with Amazon Q Business.
So it's pretty interesting to see what you can do with Amazon Q Business. And as you can see, the advantage of Amazon Q Business is it's generative AI connected with your business data. And because we know your business data is your competitive advantage, security, data privacy, and data sovereignty really matter. So I want to reiterate, with Amazon Q Business, we never use your data to train our models. All of your data is encrypted, at rest and in transit, and we have IAM roles available so you can control who has access to what data. So if you don't have access to the data outside of Q, you don't get access to the data through Q. We control that through those IAM roles. And as of March this year, Amazon Q Business is available in our Sydney region. So your data will never leave Australia if you're using Amazon Q Business Sydney. Now, we talked a little bit about business use cases before, but I just want to, make the point. There's a range of different use cases you can use it for, but you can find any application for Amazon Q Business in your organization. We see IT and customer support as one of the top use cases where a lot of people are using it to field frequently asked questions and handling those simple questions that allow our agents to spend more time on the more complex business use cases. Risk and compliance is a huge challenge in our organizations today. Amazon Q Business lets you surface the right policies and procedures for your employees as they're working through business processes, making sure that they're compliant with those, those policies and procedures. You can enable your workforce to access your knowledge, internal knowledge more effectively through creating knowledge agents, which can allow them to search and access information across multiple sources and bring it together into one unique result to make them more effective. And you can use it for line of business applications like HR, onboarding new customers or onboarding new employees quickly by having the right information readily at hand. And even in operations, if you want to enable your operations and maintenance staff to have the right technical specifications to operate and maintain your equipment in your plant, Amazon Q Business can do that too. Since we launched Amazon Q Business in 2024, we've been working across the globe with customers in all sorts of industries and all sorts of countries. And global customers like Volkswagen, Sony Music, and Bayer Pharmaceutical, as well as smaller businesses right here in the region like Arcanum AI in New Zealand. What we're finding is that no matter the size of the company or the industry, all of these companies are finding real tangible business benefits from using Q Business. And let's have a look at a couple of examples now. Momentum is an executive recruiting firm in Wellington, New Zealand. And as you would know, New Zealand's been having a rough economic time lately. They've been in an extended recession. And so in a recession time, government spending slows and recruiting slows. So Momentum looked and said, how can we disrupt the industry with generative AI? How can we accelerate our business with generative AI? And what they did was they looked at what was stopping their recruiting team from getting out into the market and recruiting more customers. Because speed matters in recruiting, right? To place a candidate, whether you place them or not, comes down to how quickly you process the CVs, match them to the right job description, and get them out to the customer. So first and foremost, they looked internally and they said, we're spending a lot of time dealing with the existing people that we have under contract, answering questions, looking at policies, looking at procedures, making sure that those contracts are managed correctly. So they built an internal solution that allowed them to manage those frequently asked questions more effectively, and that reduced the amount of administration time by 15% that they were spending internally. They then turned their attention to, the core of their business. How do they better process the candidates and match them to the job roles? And working with a partner, Arcanum AI, they built an Amazon Q business-based application which pulled together the three core elements: the hiring company's culture and kind of the profile of candidate they were looking for, the job description that they had for the individual role, and the candidate's CVs. And through this tool, they built a tool that basically scored each candidate against the job role and created a short list of the best candidates for the recruiters to take back to the customer. They also generated a report which provided feedback to each individual candidate as to why they were or were not selected. And if anyone's been through the recruiting process, getting that feedback is critical, right? So it actually did a great thing for boosting the candidate experience and also lifting Momentum's reputation as a recruiter in the market. Additionally, we had W Advisory. W Advisory are a tax advisory company here in Sydney, and they're growing really quickly, and they've been growing through acquisition. So what they did was they basically looked at their business and said, every time we hire someone into the business, we're basically adding administrative burden and complexity. How can we grow the business without hiring more people? How can we use AI to grow the business? And what they did was they looked and they said, when we prepare to go out to a customer meeting to recruit a new customer, we need to do all this preparation to understand the customer's needs and come really well prepared. And that was taking a lot of time. So what they did was they basically built a tool that scraped all the information they had internal in their CRM systems, plus whatever they could find externally, and create automated briefing documents for their teams to actually kind of come better prepared to those customer meetings. And that saved 80% of the preparation time. They then, once they have a customer on board, they also had to provide the best tax advice. So the way W Advisory's business model works is, the better your tax return, the more money they get paid. So basically they were incented to give you the best tax advice. And what they normally do is they manually pull together your tax report, they match it to all the information on the ATO with the policies and advice that they need to give, and then they send that back to the customer. With Amazon Q Business, they were able to download all that information off the ATO website, scrape it into Amazon Q Business, and generate that information automatically, saving them significant time. And lastly, Deriv. So Deriv is a bigger SMB, about a $200 million business, 1,400 employees across 21 countries. Their challenge was they had 25 years of data that they needed to bring together. Their employees across the globe were really struggling to kind of access the data because it was stored in multiple sources like Slack, Google Drive, GitHub, and wiki pages all over the place. Now, they had never thought to use generative AI before because they thought it was complex, they had no experience, they thought they would need specialist engineers to do it. What they found with Amazon Q Business, one developer, couple of days, they connected all of those sources together and were able to generate an intelligent solution that they could roll out across their business. And they use it in customer service, they use it in recruiting, and they use it in their marketing teams as well. Okay, so at this point, I'll pass over to Ramesh, and she can talk a little bit more about the actual Amazon Q Business product.
Awesome. Thanks, Brad. So yeah, we've heard examples of how customers are using Amazon Q Business, but let's take a deeper look at the features within the service that are essentially powering these use cases. My favorite feature of Amazon Q is the fact that it can really quickly connect to your business data and systems. So this lets your team really hit the ground running with generating content and accelerating decision making. It can also execute actions using out-of-the-box or custom plugins, and this allows you to use things like agentic AI style workflows. We also have, from a security perspective, it can really respect your existing configurations for identities, roles, permissions. It also connects to more than 40 enterprise applications and document repositories that you would already be using. From an administrator perspective, you can set guardrails, so to make sure that the conversations are relevant and appropriate. We also, from an end user perspective, can streamline tasks through lightweight applications, building through natural language. So let's take a look at these in a little bit more detail. So going from that end user perspective, when you ask Amazon Q Business a question, in the background what it's doing, it's searching through relevant documents and passages from applications that you might already be using. So let's say SharePoint, Google Drive, S3. And it's basically putting all this together to to give you a response that is comprehensive, and it also comes with sources. Meaning that for each line of response that you get, you actually have this granular source reference that is really important with winning that trust with your end users, because they're able to very quickly validate that information. And so then they can engage further and ask follow-up questions, do summarizations, and Q will remember that context of conversation. And I mentioned that Q Business comes with plugins that allow for pre-built actions. So the purpose of this is that we know that employees, to complete their daily jobs, they would work across multiple enterprise applications. And essentially, you want to be able to connect these together. For example, you might want to summarize data, as we see as an example up here. Summarize information from your meetings, for example, and then get Q Business to put all, after it's done that, to put it in a ticket in Atlassian's Jira. And it can do just that. And another favorite feature of Q Business that I have been using, particularly as a solutions architect, switching between technical and non-technical workspace, excuse me, is that Q Business can be used as a web browser extension. So you don't actually have to use it as a standalone application and add to the pool of existing applications you have. You can actually bring it to where you're already working. And this means you can get responses directly from the underlying model, or from the many applications you can connect it to, or the files you've uploaded, or the web pages that you've selected. And I want to reiterate that Q Business is really built for any businesses of size and scale to run generative AI powered solutions safely, securely, and simply. So it's, again, it has access to all of these resources, but it does that by respecting the permissions and identities that you have already pre-configured. And under no circumstances does Q Business use your content to improve the underlying model for others. And from an administrator perspective, again, you can apply those guardrails to ensure that the responses are reflecting your company's voice, which is really important. And to give you a better idea of some of the connectors that we have in place that allow you to connect to Amazon Q Business with, again, existing applications, which again, you would recognize a few of those names because across even smallest businesses, data tends to be scattered, or it is in silos. So creating a business assistant means being able to crawl and ingest data from all of these data sources while maintaining the permissions for each end user within each data source. But from a developer perspective, building and managing integrations manually with these data sources tends to be let's just say, not trivial. And it's going to require ongoing expertise and maintenance. And that's where Q Business's native connector framework really comes into play. So it's a fully managed part of the service, and it really alleviates that burden off your development team. So instead of focusing on building and maintaining those integrations, they can focus on things that actually bring value to your business. And so what these connectors do, they crawl and extract text content from files or from permissions, metadata, and then they chunk them into right sizes for accuracy, and then they index it into a semantic index. All of that to say is that they work together to form a comprehensive and accessible index for AI. And an index that unifies your data is permission aware, so the documents you add, apps you connect to are able to uphold the permissions and identities and configurations that you've set in the first place. Now let's take a look at how this works in Zoom AI Companion.
Employees often juggle various tools, spending more time searching for content than solving problems. While many software providers add generative AI features, these are often confined to their own actual context from other sources. The Amazon Q Cross-App Index securely unifies relevant content and context from over 40 software applications and data sources. Using this index, software vendors can create generative AI features directly in their applications or web pages that incorporate relevant context from other applications. For example, let's join a Zoom meeting with Leah, Lindsay, and Rocco. As the call begins, Zoom's AI Companion assists by summarizing the meeting and answering in-meeting questions. Because this team chose to use the AI Companion with the Amazon Q Cross-App Index, It not only summarizes the meeting, but automatically surfaces the Atlassian Jira ticket and Google document Leah references in the conversation. The Cross-App Index respects user-level permissions across connected apps, ensuring documents, messages, and data used in generated responses are based on what users can already access. Without leaving Zoom, the team quickly connects on the project status, finds relevant content, and makes an informed decision. Applications like Asana, Miro, Zoom, and PagerDuty are also using the index from Amazon Q Business to enhance their generative AI experiences. Enhance your generative AI features today with the Amazon Q Cross-App Index.
And I'm sure there's no question that security and safety are on top of the list for everyone. So, because we know that promoting security and safety means protecting your brand identity and making sure that you're adhering to corporate policies when it comes to inappropriate conduct. So it's crucial for any generative AI assistant that you introduce within your business for it to establish a list of do's and don'ts, essentially, of what is permissible. And with Q Business, administrators can do this easily. So they can set up guardrails that makes those clear lines between topics, words, phrases that may be off topic. And these can be things like, conversations around topics that pertain to your competitors or security vulnerabilities. And from an administrator perspective, this is really important, and I know it's a big concern for particularly SMB customers that are looking forward to starting generative AI. And so sometimes people don't want to give full access to the whole world of the LLM's knowledge to their employees, because there tends to be a risk of worrying about risk of hallucinations and so on and so forth. And Q Business allows that. So for the strictest use cases, such as in legal use cases or in HR or in research, you can actually limit Q Business's response to the index data only, making sure that you're only getting information from your business data. Also from a networking perspective, so if you're really concerned about your business data not going over the public internet, you can actually connect to a Q Business through AWS Private Link, meaning that you're actually using the AWS network for that information to be to go across the two different services that you may be using. And also, if you want to incorporate your existing workforce with Q Business to maintain your existing configurations around identities and permissions, you can also use IAM Identity Center in combination with Q Business to achieve this. And CloudTrail, AWS CloudTrail is our, API auditing service that is often integrated with most of our services, and Q Business is no exception. So you can do this, and you can be aware of the API calls that are being within your environment. So we know that data comes in many forms or shapes, but honestly, at the end of the day, if you're working, you're not paying much attention to what application or service you're using or what data type you're using. And that's why we're putting together Amazon Q Business and QuickSight. So soon you'll be able to access and analyze information from Amazon Q Business and Amazon Q QuickSight seamlessly. Sorry, Amazon QuickSight. There's too many Qs in there. And Amazon QuickSight, for those of you that don't know, is our unified BI service. So it's been used by hundreds of thousands of users globally. So combining this to what it's really doing, it's giving you a powerful combination of natural language and data visualizations brought to your employees. And the last point that we discussed was that end users are able to actually make lightweight applications to streamline daily tasks on Amazon Q Business. And this doesn't require any specialized tech skills. And from an administrator perspective, you can actually put guardrails around these as well, and kind of track how they're being shared as well. So we have a little demo for you today of Amazon Q apps. So this is what the interface looks like. You use natural language to ask for the application you want. Here in Brad's case, we was after an application that could translate documents from English to Japanese and Korean for his team across the region. So it's generating the application now, and once it's done that, we're going to test it by uploading a document in English, saying something along the lines of, "I love Amazon Q Business." And you can see that with a couple of clicks, you can upload the documents and run it to test how it does with the translation from. While this is a very simple use case, you can imagine the impact this has into the day-to-day lives of your team, because it's these simple tasks that tend to be time-consuming and not necessarily be driving direct business value for your business. So we've talked a lot today, but here's more information about Q Business if you're interested. And Brad and I would really appreciate if you could fill out a survey for us. And thank you so much for spending your time with us.
Thank you.